first burn that Jesse was talking about.
Yeah, so recapping this countdown to Mars, the stations began to be filled up this morning just after midnight. Preparations, fuelings, powering up, all the way through that liftoff that happened. I think, Mick, it wasn't precisely on time. I think you said it was like 10 milliseconds early. So it's pretty much dead on.
Yeah, dead on. This team does a great job. As I said, they're very focused, very disciplined. As Tori also said, courageous. They have done a lot of work to get us to this point today through this pandemic, changed how they did some of their work, made adjustments as needed, a lot of cleaning, a lot of things, a lot of wearing their face masks, doing all kinds of things. And so this is an exciting time, not only for the JPL team in Mars 2020, but everybody that's worked this mission and for the country and the agency. So this is exciting to see. We still have a long way to go, Joshua, before spacecraft separation.
Yeah, we had a really quiet countdown today, which is phenomenal, that we got off the ground on time. And we are proceeding now that we are in the middle of the first burn. It's tough to make out, but that engine is lit and it's firing. So we are in motion. There you go. There's that animation we talked about.
The telemetry there as we switch to a TDRS compatible data format.
TDRS
overall telemetry quality is very good.
The space tracking system. So there you go. This is not an actual video, but this is an animation that's driven by real data. So although we're not actually seeing the engine on screen right now, we can see that the engine is lit, and that is driven by the data that says that the engine is truly lit and we're in this burn.
Yeah, the launch vehicle continues to send telemetry to the launch team via the TDRS network, as you mentioned, and that allows them to continue to watch what's going on and make sure all their sequence of events meet their timeline. We continue on a nominal flight this morning. This first burn, as we heard earlier, will be about 6 minutes. This will get us into that park orbit around Earth, allow us to get on our way, and then get into that approximately 30-minute coast period that we're going to have.
8 minutes into flight, beginning to see the Centaur PU system balance out mass errors, seeing very stable body rates in the Centaur.
So we've mentioned 5 teams at play, and although if you were watching, hopefully you got a chance to see this in person, if not on camera, it's easy to kind of say, oh, it's over, like job done, but all 5 of these teams still very much engaged, still very much focused, because there's a lot of work ahead as we proceed through this first burn, and then a coast phase, like you mentioned, Mick, and then a second burn, and then spacecraft separation and the acquisition of signal from Mars 2020. So a lot more coming up here. Mick, I know for Launch Services Program, you guys manage the launch. So what does that mean? I mean, this is you guys' work in action right now.
By the way, that's the 5th team that we didn't get to mention. We talked about JPL, we talked about DOE, we talked about United States Space Force, and United Launch Alliance. LSP, we are like the brokers to select this launch vehicle and help with manage this mission. So we get our spacecraft customer, the JPL folks, they come to us. They have some certain requirements that they need for this mission. The Launch Services Program made up of engineers and flight analysis folks, and they look at everything, they help define those requirements, and then we go out and procure a vehicle from a commercial partner. In this case, it was the Atlas 541 for the Mars 2020 mission that was needed for performance, right? As you and I have talked over the last several days, Josh, one of the things that was important for us to look at was that performance, to be able to get Mars 2020 onto that transfer orbit into solar orbit to intercept Mars in 7 months. It's kind of analogous to a football game, right? With a quarterback trying to throw a pass downfield. You need a quarterback with a lot of performance who can get that ball down there where it needs to be, so the receiver can intercept that. In our case, 7 months later.
There you go. Yeah, it's the longest football pass ever. The Earth is the quarterback. The Atlas is the quarterback's arm. Perseverance is the football, and Mars is the receiver.
That's exactly right.
And what we also talked about is that technically, you could launch to Mars at any time if you had a rocket that was powerful enough. But this is the launch period every 26 months or so, as we've talked about, that makes the most sense because you require the least amount of energy to get to Mars, because it takes a lot to get there. Obviously, like the Atlas 541 is a workhorse.
Yeah, as Tori said, it's their Dominator. Right?
There you go.
I love that name for the Atlas 541. But we heard Jim Bridenstine, our NASA administrator, tell us that if we didn't make this launch period, we would be down for roughly 26 months,
it's
right?
Tough.
So the period started July 17th and goes to August 15th. Today, July 30th, was one of those launch opportunities that we had. We had a 2-hour window, and within that window, we had several opportunities.
25, actually. Yeah. 25 opportunities.
And we launched at the beginning of the window on our first opportunity to get Mars 2020 going on its way. And that, that sounds like a lot, and it is. The flight analysis group, both at JPL, LSP, and ULA, did a lot of work to pick out those target sets and figure out where we needed to be. So they've done a great job, and we'll see how this mission continues.
So, Mick, tell us about the 2 burns required here, and we're actually coming up on the end of the first one. Ultimately, a lot of people probably, and myself included at some point, just like, why wouldn't you just keep firing the engines? Just fire all the way through and get to Mars